Hello and welcome to another episode of Cards Unbarred. My name's Ryan, and in this video I'm going to show you the comparisons between the new Yokai Septet Pocket Edition and the second edition. So as you can see, we have the Pocket Edition on the left and the second edition here on the right. You'll immediately notice the size difference. The height is definitely the biggest part. The width of the boxes are about the same. So really you're just looking at that extra height, which is pretty much the size of the cards themselves. If we open up the boxes here, you can see how snug in the Pocket Edition is, whereas the second edition has a little bit of air here in the top where all the cards fit at the bottom. Now, as you can see, there are point chips in the second edition, which you use to keep track of your score. You give these to players, whereas in the Pocket Edition, you actually have these little scoring trackers, which are really nice. They are on the backside of your player aid card. So you give each player one of them to put on this side, and then you put the little arrow on the amount. When you score points, you slide it up, which I think is a very clever and unique way of just keeping it so it's just a deck of cards to, again, help keep it in this smaller size box. Now, one thing you might be able to see as well, if I get a little closer, there's this extra little platform piece that's in the bottom of the box that seems like it's glued onto it. You could probably remove it. And this is really only if you are someone who sleeves the cards. Because as you can see, the deck, once everything's in there, it's pretty much to the top of the box. As soon as you start to sleeve the cards, it's probably going to overhang. But if you removed whatever that is in the bottom, it'll give you a little bit more space for everything to hopefully fit a little bit better. Whereas the second edition box, you've got plenty of room to sleeve. If you take all those out, you can just stack them side by side, throw the coins on top, and you're good to go. Now, as far as the other components between the Pocket Edition and second edition, all of the cards for the suits are going to be the same. You still have your 49 cards with the 7 suits with 7 of each. And the one difference, though, the player aids in the second edition on the backside have these on there, which were used for the 4-player variant known as the 7 suitors. That variant rule set has been removed from the rules in the Pocket Edition in favor of the new 2-player version. So the rulebook, which is also slightly different, in the Pocket Edition is this sort of fold-out piece of paper that's double-sided, and you can see the 2-player rules here, whereas in the second edition, it's more of your typical rulebook, and in the back, you can see there is the 7 suitors variant. So this has been removed in the Pocket Edition, and because of that, the second edition came with 2 sets of 7s. You had your foily 7s, as well as your regular 7s. The Pocket Edition only includes the foily 7s because you don't need 2 sets of 7s anymore since that was only for that 7 suitors variant. You still get the lead player card that comes in both. Now, the one thing I do actually miss, and this is from the first edition, which you pretty much can't find anymore, but there were player aid cards in that version that actually gave you the scoring points for the 7s. There was this basic scoring, which has also been removed. That doesn't exist like in any of the editions now. It's just this advanced scoring. But it's always nice to be able to give players this so they could remember which 7 was potentially worth more points than the others. It becomes a little bit more intuitive once you've played the game a few times, so it's not that important. But this was always helpful in mine, because on the other side, it's got that card distribution, which does still exist on the second edition and Pocket. And just as a reminder, again, these will not be found in either of these versions. This is from the very first edition they had it. As far as the rules to the game, you can watch my previous video, which is linked in the top right corner, as well as the show notes down below. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching.